Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is January 13th, 2021. We are going to record some trainings because the courts have rolled out some new rules. Each county used to have the same rules, and now each one of them, Orange County is different than San Diego, and I just understood that San Bernardino has new rules. So we're going to do some training classroom style. I usually train in a conference room. Some of you have attended my sessions either in Redlands or in Riverside. I'm now training in Newport Beach. I'm Darlene. I'm the instructor, and for those of you taking the course online, it's nice to see a face to a name, and welcome. I will be going through a Q&A first, then we're going to go over California Rules of the Court, Family Law 3200, the new FL 324P, that's the new thing that's going out, and the standards of practice. So you guys are going to now get 12 hours of classroom style training, and let's get to it. I'm going to read some of the questions that have come up lately. And let me see if I can pull those up. Okay, what age is appropriate for a child to be part of the intake process? And do you meet the children at intake? I personally meet the children at intake because I don't want to appear like a stranger on the first day. So it's really good. Most kids are either on their tablets or busy. They don't notice that we're talking about the case or the events that have occurred in the past. But if you have a 3-year-old that's going to be on a visit, it's really good to meet them first because children have facial recognition from birth. And the child will meet you. I always say or introduce myself as like I'm a teacher. I just say, you know what, I'm like a teacher. My name is Miss Darlene, and I'm going to be with you when you visit your mom or dad. So we're able to do that. And that way, the first day of on a visit, they're not screaming bloody murder because their mom asked them to leave. So this is going to be really hard for me to read off the screen and talk to you in the camera. So what I'm going to do is, hold on. I'm going to print this page because I can't see it. So give me 1 second here. Oh, bear with me. Technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. And print. Okay. Let me go back to the screen where I can actually see you guys, or you can see me. It's just too complicated to read off the screen and to see if I'm camera. There's so many difficulties. Get going here. Another thing I do on the first visit, so I meet the children at intake just so that they can recognize me, that I'm not a stranger first day. And then first day, if they're really young, I always go to the dollar store and I have this little box in my car. I call it my toolbox or my little arsenal of tools. I'll have like a little Matchbox car from the dollar store or a little fairy doll. And if they're having some emotional issues or crying and holding on to mom or dad, I'll just say, hey, did I tell you I brought you a little surprise today? And then I'll give them a little sticker or a little toy just to help them get through the transition of walking with me to go visit their visiting parent. And that usually does the trick. I don't give gifts always, nor do I give them every time, but it does help if you have a screaming Mimi the first day. Okay, so what is the monitor to child ratio? What do you recommend? I recommend a 4-to-1 child to monitor ratio. So, for instance, if someone drops off a family of children that are all under the age of 6, there's 4 children all under the age of 6, 2 babies, a 6-month-old, an 18-month-old, a 3-year-old with autism who runs off, and a 6-year-old with emotional distress issues. Are you going to be comfortable as a monitor being alone with 4 kids with that scenario? If you're not comfortable with that many kids, you can always refer it to another monitor. You do not have to take every case. So every monitor should know their strengths and weaknesses. If they have 5 or 6 kids, you would definitely want to get a second monitor on that case. It's going to cost the family a little bit more. You're going to make a little less because you're going to split the cost with another monitor. And you can usually find new monitors who want to get their feet wet and start monitoring, and it's great to shadow as well. So you might charge $70 for a big family per hour and then split the cost with another monitor. So just know your strengths and weaknesses regarding children. If you're not comfortable being alone with that many kids, then decline the case or refer it to another monitor. Um, to inform a parent if he or she has violated a provider rule, which may lead to termination of services, is this done in writing or can it be done verbally? Okay, there's a difference between terminating a visit and terminating your services. Terminating a visit is for bad behavior at a visit. Say the visiting parent is tired, or they keep interrogating the child of the whereabouts of where they live, or what school they go to, or where they play sports. Those things are off limits. You are not, the visiting parent is not allowed to ask the whereabouts of their living arrangements, because 98% of our cases have restraining orders, and we don't want to violate those restraining orders. So if you're terminating a visit, say something goes wrong at a visit, or they're just not correcting their bad behavior, then the visit is called and you have to notify both parties and let them know why. So I would, on a visit, say, children, the visit's now over. Why don't you say goodbye to your parent? And I would say, the visiting parent, say goodbye to your children. The visit's now over. And the visiting parent will leave and go away, and then or drive away, and then you would call or text the custodial parent and say, I had to terminate the visit. The visit has ended early. Please come pick up your children. When the custodial parent arrives, do not give them the long version of what happened. Okay, they're always looking for drama and ways to go back to court and ways to make things difficult. Sometimes our visiting parents, our clients, just need a little guidance. They need help, parental skills, parental tips, and a lot of our clients have anger management issues. They don't like to be told what to do. So if I correct somebody on their behavior and they get a little bit aggressive or angry at me, then I give them a chance. You can correct this behavior, or we can terminate the visit. And I don't want to terminate the visit, but if you're not going to correct this behavior, I have full authority to terminate this visit. So that's what I would do. If you terminate your services, that means I can no longer be your monitor. I have a client who was so aggressive with me. Every time we tried to schedule a supervised visitation on the phone or schedule for the next week while we were finishing up a visit, he would use profanity, he would cuss, he would swear, he would just have these huge outbursts, and I just couldn't stand it any longer. One, I'm Christian. I'm not going to put up with somebody using swear words around me. And two, I keep it professional. So I gave him a warning. I said, I am professional with you. Keep it professional with me. We do this every time we have to schedule a visit. This is inappropriate conversation and words that you're using towards me or towards the custodial parent, and I won't have it. He wouldn't stop. So I said, you know what? I can no longer be your monitor. You're too much. You're not following the rules. You keep using profanity, and therefore I need to terminate my service with you, and I need to write a letter to the judge. So he said, you better not write a letter to the judge. And I said, oh, I absolutely have to. As a monitor, according to family law, I have to. So I wrote a letter stating, very short letter. The judges are jam-packed with files stacked up to here. So do not make your court letters, letters to the court, letters to the judge, lengthy. One or two sentences is fine. So I just said, I terminated my services on this day because of this. I sign under penalty of perjury that these statements are true and correct, and I sent it off. So I had to give a copy to him and to the custodial mom, and then send one in to the judge. That is our obligation. Those are our responsibilities as a monitor. So a couple of months later, he actually called me back. And I see his phone number come across my phone. And I said, oh my goodness, why is he calling? I answer the phone, and he said, um, he addressed, his name and said, I'm calling because I read the letter you wrote to the judge, and I'm sorry if I treated you that way. And I didn't like the word if, because it's not taking full responsibility, but I was willing to continue to listen. And he said, I finished my anger management classes, and I'm currently enrolled in parenting classes, and I want to know if you'd be my monitor again. And I thought, you know what? This guy is showing progress. He's letting me know that he cares, that he's trying to improve, and I wanted to take the case back. I'm always up for a challenge, and now I know that he knows my rules. He's not going to mess with me when I tell him to stop, keep it professional. He's going to. So it was a learning lesson for him. I got the client back, and he was with me for over a year and a half. So that was good. Okay. Under the codes, the cautionary notes must be included in reports. What verbiage do I use? When I write my observation notes, I literally write what I observe. So as a monitor, and you're going to learn this in lesson 5, documentation, I timestamp everything. So before I write what the family is doing, I actually write the time. So at this time, I would say at 2:01, visiting parent greeted his children. They hugged, they high-fived, they laughed, they talked. Children were engaged in good eye contact, genuinely pleased to see their visiting parent. And I would say at 2:10, a visiting parent ordered pizza. Hey, you're going to watch the visit unfold. You're just going to keep your eyes on the visiting parent at all times, because that's what you're paid to do. A lot of people want to just keep an eye on the little ones, but it's not so much about that. Yes, it's keeping them safe, but you really want to keep an eye on the visiting parent. Yes, just use your layman term words on the description of what they're doing, what they're saying, if they're engaged in an activity, if they're doing homework. I always encourage visiting children to bring their homework, because nothing is more special than to give the visiting parent real mom or dad time. It's pretty cool when that happens. When you see a visiting parent reading to their child or helping them with their math homework, that's pretty cool. And I've had successful visits at fast food places. We've gone to Jack in the Box, we've gone to In and Out, Pollo Loco, Pickup Sticks, and the children will eat dinner, and then afterwards they'll do homework and then play a board game. So you can have your visiting parents bring coloring books, crayons, pencils, dot to dot books, maze books, and some puzzles and some games. We have played a lot of Connect Four. That is an awesome game because most age groups can play it. So Connect Four and puzzles and Go Fish playing cards. Those are all good things to have. Next question, can you provide me with, or can you direct me to any and all required forms, intake forms, agreements, rules, etc.? The answer is yes. When you get to lesson 6, you are going to get all the documentation needed to be a monitor. You're also going to get samples of documentation and notes from different monitors because we all have a different style. You're going to get samples of letters to the court, termination letters, and you're definitely going to get the intake packets. So the intake packet for the custodial parent is very thick. The intake packet for the visiting parent is only about 5 pages thick. The reason why the packet for the custodial parent is thicker is because they're going to tell us why that parent needs to be monitored. The other party has to sign off on the rules and regulations, but the custodial parent's going to give us all the details of why this person needs to be monitored. If you've ever read a court report, they're very vague. Now, I don't know if you have or haven't. I imagine you haven't just yet because you're studying to be a monitor. Um, but when you conduct an intake, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but when you conduct an intake, you get a copy of the court order and the restraining order. And I'm going to put that on my list to talk about the court order and the restraining order a little bit later. So when you get a copy of the court order, it states visiting parent to have 2 hours a week. That's it. It doesn't tell you a whole lot about the case. So we would want to talk to the custodial parent. Always conduct the intake or the intake interview with the custodial parent first. You want to know what are their concerns? What do we want to be looking out for? Definitely want to get a hold of that restraining order. 98% of our cases have restraining orders, and we need to be respectful of the distance that the restraining order states. So restraining orders will say 100 feet, 100 yards, or 1,000 feet away from the other parent. And that lets you know the level of abuse or domestic violence that occurred. Um, so yes, you will get all the paperwork, documentation, intake paperwork. Like I said from the beginning, from our first phone call, you will get all the tools you need to succeed. It is my goal to have you be successful. And that's a really neat feeling when you are out there. And my success rate out there is pretty darn strong and good. Okay, next question. Do you have written policies and procedures you can share for the following? You will receive all forms, samples, and documentations needed in lesson 6. Okay, so it's kind of the same question. Yes, you will receive all forms, documentation, and agreements. Oh, is there another question on there? Yeah. Where do you conduct intake appointments? Okay, when we schedule an intake, meaning we're going to get information from the custodial parent, information from the visiting parent, we hold them at Starbucks, the library, Denny's, McDonald's, any place that has a table and chairs, really. And now with COVID, it's a little more challenging, but there are places you can do it. You could always meet at the park at a picnic bench. But I think libraries are open now, and some restaurants have outdoor seating. Um, you want to schedule the intake appointments separately. Never schedule an intake appointment at 1 o'clock at Starbucks with the custodial and then at 2 o'clock with the visiting parent at the same Starbucks. Because a lot of times it's a shopping center, and what if that parent leaves their car there and runs off into one of the other stores? The visiting parent shows up and then they run into each other. We don't ever want to run the risk of them crossing paths. If they cross paths, that's going to be drama, and it's just going to be a hot mess. So keep your intake appointments separate. Never ever group text message. So I will confirm an intake appointment with the custodial parent via text, and I have it saved in my phone under notes or memos, depending on which phone you have, and I just copy and paste it. Confirming your appointment tomorrow at Starbucks. Please bring a copy of the court order, the restraining order, recent picture of your kids, list of any allergies or medications your kids take. Your fee is $45, and I'll see you at 2 p.m., whatever time it is. Then the visiting parent, I will meet them at 2 o'clock, but at McDonald's or the library or the food court in the mall. I will not meet at the same place because I don't want to run the risk of them bumping into each other. So I'll also confirm the intake appointment with the visiting parent, confirming your intake appointment tomorrow at the food court in the mall at 3 p.m. Please bring a copy of the court order and a picture of your driver's license. If there are any threats of abduction, we will also need a photo of their license plate. And they can just take a picture of their license plate and bring it in, or they could text it to you right in front of you. Okay, what's next? What types of locations have you done visits? Well, prior to COVID, we did them at the park, the mall, Chuck E. Cheese, Shakey's Pizza, trampoline parks, any fun museum. The world was open. We had so many places we could go. We do off-site visits, meaning we don't have a facility unless you have a brick and mortar office building or daycare. We don't offer on-site visits. As monitors, private monitors, we offer off-site visits. And now with COVID, we do them at parks, an open park, not at the playground, but an open park that has a picnic table and a grassy area. They can bring balls, a football, a baseball. They can bring a hula hoop, different fun outdoor things. They can also, again, bring homework, puzzles, games, and you can have a really successful, meaningful visit at a park. To me, those are the best parks because the visiting parent usually packs a picnic, and that's pretty nice. So part of your homework will be drive around your town and find out what's open. Find out, is the local pizza parlor open? Are you allowed to sit outside? Is McDonald's open? Is their lobby closed? Are their bathrooms closed? Is there outdoor seating available? Get creative and find out if your local library is open, because they have security cameras. It's educational. The custodial parent usually likes that. And they have puzzles, computer games, Legos, all kinds of fun things to play there. So I love doing visits at the library. And sometimes the parents will actually lean on you, like, where are we going to have these visits? And you could say with confidence, I drove around town and this is open or that's open. So be aware of those things. So when you start getting your first few phone calls, you'll know what to offer. What personal safety devices do you use, if any? I don't. Visiting parents are usually on their best behavior. They're being monitored. They're being watched. They know we answer to the judge, so they're usually terrified of us. They think of us like social workers, and they usually don't mess with us. And they're usually phony baloney. They're acting on their best behavior, and kids will even tell you, I don't know who that is, but that's not my dad. I don't know who this person is, but that's not my mom. That's not how they normally act. And that's okay. We want them to be on their best behavior. That being said, I've never had anyone be physically aggressive with me, or have a need to have some kind of safety measure with me. I do have a stun gun and pepper spray in my car. Just as a female, I've always had that. But no, I do not bring any of it to a visit, because what if somebody looked inside my briefcase or my purse and, a 3-year-old grabbed it and hurt somebody? So I'm not going to have those safety measures compromised. So no, you don't need any kind of special devices. Have you personally developed relationships with law enforcement? If so, how is this done? Well, another great place to have and host visitations is the mall. In the Temecula Mall, our police station is located in the mall, right across the hall from security. So if I'm on a high risk supervised visitation, I will arrive early and I will go straight to the police station upstairs and just say, hey, I'm on a high risk supervised visitation where there's been threats of abduction, and would you keep an eye on us today? And they always say yes. And I go across the hall and say the same thing to the security guards. And they're usually pretty happy about that, because they look forward to a little action. And they walk around the mall, and no one knows this but me and them. But they will look down if they're on the second story or second floor. They'll look down and nod their head at me, and I'll nod back, meaning, or blink my eyes, and they know that everything is good. Okay, so just be discreet. I'll have my um, notepad with me. I use these little notepads, and then I'll just, hold my notepad and I'll do a little shake, a little yes, that I'm okay. So you want to hold high risk supervised visitations where there's law enforcement close by. So take a look in your city, in your county. I want you to go take a look at where the police station is. The police station is not a good place to have a visit. Every now and again, people are court ordered to have the visits at the police station, but you've never been there, it's pretty yucky. And I had a lady who, it was custodial mom. She called and said that the visits should be at the police station because the ex is super violent. And when I went there, the lobby is 10 feet by 10 feet, really no place to sit down. A lot of bad guys dressed pretty scruffy going in and out of the building. And when they were talking to the police, they were disrespectful, cussing and swearing. It looked like a dungeon in there, and it was awful. And I don't think that was a very appropriate place for an 8-year-old. And I did let the mom know, are you sure you want the visit to be there? I encourage you to go sit there for about 10 or 15 minutes and then let me know. Because we can find other places that have cameras. Even McDonald's has cameras. So let's get curious, let's get creative around town. Drive around town, find places that are safe and fun for the kids and all age groups. So if somebody calls you and they have a 3 and a 5-year-old, where are you going to have a visit? If they have a 12-year-old, where are you going to have a visit? 10-year-olds are my favorite because they can go anywhere. They love to do everything. They're super passionate about fun stuff. 15-year-olds, where are you going to go? Of course, the mall. It's fun. A park, bring a basketball. That's fun. Okay. So no, I haven't developed relationships with the police, but some of them know me just because I come in there and talk with them. But no, I don't have like personal friendships with them. Have you ever had to obtain a copy of a police report? And if so, I've been provided a police report at a visit, at an intake appointment, where somebody presents like, look at the police report, look what he did, or look what she did. But no, it doesn't. I just look at the court order pertaining to supervised visitation. Okay, do you provide observation only visitation or a supportive supervision? Okay, so I think what they're asking is if we do therapeutic supervised visitations, and we don't. Unless you are a licensed psychologist, you cannot offer therapeutic supervised visitations. Therapeutic supervised visitations are more about reunification. So say a visiting parent was incarcerated or in rehab or gone, maybe a mental institution or different things, and they never really met their child, or their child was maybe an infant or not born or very young, and they've never hurt their child, but the judge just believes because of their past that it would be safer and a good experience to have it supervised and to have it be therapeutic. So only psychologists, family therapists can offer therapeutic supervised visitations. Um, Do you provide feedback to the other parent after each visit? Very little. Like I said, they're looking for drama. They're looking for ways to complain to the judge about the visiting parent. I want to give my visiting parent a win where I can give them a win. If she's being a good mom on a visit, I want to acknowledge that and give her that win. So when I return the children, this is only my approach. You'll find your own approach. I do a short recap of the visit and I confirm the next visit. And I say goodbye because no one's paying me for that time. I've been on a 2 or 3 hour visit. I'm exhausted. I want to say goodbye. Here's your kids. So I usually say, you know what? The visit went okay. And we'll do it again next week. Shakey's Pizza, 4 p.m. Okay, see you guys then. Bye. Have a good night. And I get out of there. You don't want to stick around, answer a bunch of questions. It gets, caught in some kind of pickle. And something came to my mind. I was going to bring up. When you return the kids back, well, I guess that was it. Flew my mind. Just give a short recap. Just like it went well, but we'll see you guys next week and go from there. Okay. Next question. Do you have contact with bio parents and foster parents outside visiting time? Never. You cannot form friendships or relationships. We are neutrals, and it would make you a bad monitor, plus you would be in trouble with the judge. So a lot of our clients who have been with us a long time, they think of us as family. We're keeping their children safe, so they do get attached to us. The visiting parent has, you know, uh, come to like us and lean on us and thank us for parental advice and different ways we've helped them. And they might invite you to a barbecue or to lunch or to go have a cup of coffee, but you're not allowed to. And it would be unethical, and it would be unethical to accept gifts. I do accept food. If someone is ordering pizza and you're on a visit and they offer you a slice of pizza and you're actually hungry, have a piece of pizza. When in Rome, it's okay. It actually builds rapport with the visiting family, and it's okay. I try to eat and drink before a visit and go potty. That way I don't have to go to the restroom during a visit, or try not to have to. The judge knows you have to go, so let's address this now. You're allowed to go to the restroom. Just be as safe about the kids and discreet as possible. So if the visiting parent has to go to the restroom, it can just go. The children will stay with you or remain with you at the table or the picnic table bench. But if you have to go or the children have to go, we all go. So they're waiting right outside the door where you're at. But like I said, you want to, tend to business and get out of there quick, because you don't want the visiting parent alone with the children too long to maybe promise something they can't keep, or to maybe ask them, hey, jump out of your window tonight at midnight. I'm going to come pick you up, or you're going to come live with mommy next year. We don't want any of those things to occur. So restrooms, if it's a large restroom with many stalls, have the children go in the stall, I'm sorry, in the bathroom with you. My phone is ringing. I don't know what I just said. Okay, rewind, edit. So if it's a large restroom, have the kids go in and stand by the sinks, and they can sing the ABC song or something fun. You can go potty, wash your hands. And same thing, if the children have to go, then you stand by the sinks or by the door, have them go potty, remind them to wash their hands, to sing the ABC song, and then everybody get out. So you want to keep the the children as safe as possible during restroom breaks. Sorry about that confusion. My phone went off and I was tempted to answer it because it's the business line. And when I teach live in class, I always tell my attendees, I leave my phone on, not for disrespect, but just in case it's a business call and someone needs a monitor. That way you could hear a live call. So let me see if this call is regarding someone needing a monitor or somebody wanting to sign up for the class. If they want to sign up for the class, I'll call them later. But if they want a monitor, we're going to do this right now live. So let's see what they have.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Ella Johnson again. I spoke to you yesterday, Darlene. Just had one more question, if you don't mind calling me back.
Okay, that's somebody that wants to take the course from Maryland. So I will call her in just a little bit. Okay, let's move on. So bathroom breaks, we've got that covered. Sorry for the little faux pas there a little bit earlier. Have you ever had to refuse or stop a visit due to drugs or alcohol? I personally haven't. Like I said, our visiting parents behave. 90% of our visits go extremely well. If you feel like your visiting parent is under the influence, I would pull them aside. I would let them know it has come to my attention that you might be under something or on something. And I think it's safe at this point to cancel the visit for the safety of the children. If they give you any grief, you'll know they are on something. If they say, no, 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 I'm just tired, or oh, my eyes are red because of this, or whatever the reason is, if they can convince you that they're okay, then it's going to be up to you as a monitor. You're going to have to make that decision. But no, it's never occurred. On that note, I have had people in the court order, it stated that they needed to do breathalyzer before each visit. So the visiting parent needs to go purchase this breathalyzer at Rite Aid or CVS, Walgreens, whatever store, drugstore. And they're usually about $70. They're very expensive. And I keep it in a Ziploc bag in my car. So when the visiting parent arrives, they arrive early, they park near my car, come walk over by my car. I open the Ziploc bag, they grab their breathalyzer, they clear it and show me. They blow in it, they show me, they clear it, blow in it. So they do it 3 times. That way there's no margin for error, room for error. And then I have the bag open, they drop it in there and I seal it and keep it in my trunk. So I'm not around their germs, touching their germs. Oh yeah, in your little box, your little toolbox in your car, keep sanitizer, sunscreen, Band-Aids. I bought this little janky first aid kit at the dollar store, and I just keep replenishing Band-Aids. We're dealing with children. They get owies, they get boo-boos. So I never apply the Band-Aid. I give it to the visiting parent. Let them have a win, as long as it's not a sexual abuse case. If it's an SA, we call sexual abuse cases, SA cases. If it's a sexual abuse case, we definitely don't let them apply. We don't allow them to apply the Band-Aid. But if somebody just scuffed their knee and they're having a little bad day, and give it to the visiting parent, let them apply the Band-Aid, and that's a good thing. So in my little box, my toolbox, or my box in my trunk, I have a ball, and it's a basketball. So we can play foursquare with it. I can invent games with it. We can think it off stuff and we can play basketball. I have coloring books from the dollar store or Michael's. Michael's has a good assortment of coloring books for $1. And if you've ever priced coloring books recently, they are so expensive. Even at Walmart, they're $4.99. So I have coloring books. I get these little activity books from the dollar store, and they have dot to dots and mazes and word searches. And I don't let the families have free reign of this book because they would just tear pages out and scribble on a lot of pages, but I allowed them to do like 3 or 4 pages in Miss Darlene's activity book. So they love mazes. I don't care who you are, it is fun to do a maze. And so I'll get my colored pencils out and my crayons. So I have colored pencils, crayons, coloring books, activity books, a ball, sunscreen, first aid kit, and water and a granola bar. So I always have a little bit. Sometimes the visiting parent does not bring food. That is not good, and it's a hard lesson to learn. But just in case the kiddos get hungry, I always have bottled water or Propel or granola bars in my car. So, and now with this Grubhub and what is it? What is Uber Eats? People can definitely get food wherever they're at. So we can do that. Okay. Do you allow a parent to bring others to the visit? Oh, good question. No, yes, for the first 3 visits. So supervised visitations are to build a relationship with their children. It's not about grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, or new significant others, new girlfriends, new wives. So if it's not in the court order, every once in a while, and I'm telling you, once every 3 years, I'll see a court order that states grandma can be at all the visits. If it's in the court order, then game on, charge appropriately. Because now you're going to have to watch 2 visiting parents to make sure that they're not promising something that they are not allowed to. Other than that, if it's just a regular case, say no visits for the first 3 visits, because usually on the 3rd or 4th visit, that's when they start to misbehave or they try to get away with this or that. All visitors need to be approved. So visiting parent might say, or non-custodial parent or NCP. The abbreviations for the parents are CP for custodial parent, NCP, non-custodial parent, MC, minor child. So these are good terms to know. So NCP, non-custodial parent, will say, can my girlfriend or mom go to the next visit? And I'll say, you know what, let me request it and I'll get back to you. So I'll request it via text to the custodial parent. If they say yes, great. $5 more a visit, and the visiting parent needs to sign a do's and don'ts. So you guys will know what that is when you get to lesson 6 to get the paperwork. If it's a no, let the visiting parent down gently. There's nothing worse than if I asked you, hey, can my mom, I don't have my mom anymore. If I did, can my mom go to the next visit? And you say no. It's just harsh. So soften the edges a little. And this is my approach. You can find your own approach, but just soften it. I'll just say, you know what? Unfortunately, visitors are not approved this week. But let's get a few more successful visits on the books, and I'll readdress this in about, 6 weeks. So I give them hope, but I don't just slam them like, nope, can't have them there. That's just not nice. Keep it, keep it professional, but don't hurt their feelings. They're already going through so much. On that note, I always talk about this, and you'll hear me talk about this on the phone, in class, live. You do not want to be friendly to your clients, not to the CP or the NCP. I don't want you to open your heart up to the NCP or the CP because they're going to misbehave all the time. They're going to lose respect for you, and they're going to lean on you like a therapist or like a friend. You're neither. Okay. So keep it professional, but never friendly. I'm a very bubbly person by nature. I'm a happy person, especially in the morning. But on a visit, I lock it up. I'm very much like a teacher. You know my rules. Let's have a good day. Okay. Everyone's doing well. Good. What do you wear on a visit? On a visit, I dress very conservative, but business casual. Women, you shouldn't have your shoulders showing and skin showing. Some of our clients have just been released from prison, and you don't want to wear necklaces where they complement something near your chest area. You don't want to be sexy. You don't want any jewelry, no earrings. So on a visit, I have my hair pulled back, little to no makeup, and I wear a boxy button down long sleeve shirt with jeans or, tan pants or something. But the visits are not about me. You're not allowed to talk about the court case. So don't let them try to lean on you as you're their therapist or their friend. Don't be friendly. The minute you're friendly, you'll realize people are going to misbehave. But also do not be judgmental. If you're judgmental or mean or like a mean librarian, your clients will fire you and they'll move on. They're already embarrassed about having supervised visitations. The last thing they want is for you to judge them. I had a monitor I referred a few clients to, and none of them would take. And I thought, what's going on? What is her approach? So I called her and I said, Tina, I want to know, what is your approach? Keep giving you referrals and they're not landing. So tell me about the last case. And she says, oh, the mom called me and, she was just borderline in tears and she really wanted to see her kids. And she wanted these visits to happen like same day. And she said she hadn't seen her kids in 9 years. And the visitation monitor said, 9 years? That's judgmental. Okay. We can be judgmental in our tone. You don't want to be. You are going to get paid a lot of money to be a true neutral, to keep family safe. So your tone shouldn't change on the phone or in person. I had a lady call me and she was inquiring about visitations in Rialto, and it was a lesbian couple that was divorced. And they have a 5-year-old little boy, and the visiting mom has a drug problem. She has substance abuse issues. The little boy is severely asthmatic. And so the custodial mom called me and, said, I don't trust her. She might not give him his inhaler, or she might not know what to do, or this or that. Well, I suggested that they have the visits at the Loma Linda Children's Hospital. This is prior to COVID. Because if he were to have an asthmatic attack, then we could get help and have a medical release form filled out from the custodial parent. And they have puzzles and movies and games and a cafeteria and clean bathrooms. More importantly, they have nurses that could help the little boy. So my tone didn't change when she said my wife. Okay, shouldn't. When your clients call me and say, oh yeah, I have allegations of sexual abuse and a restraining order. Okay, how many children do you have? My tone doesn't change. I start the conversation with, okay, you want to inquire about supervised visitations? I'd like to help you. I just need to ask you a few questions. Do you have a court order? Very first question we ask. Because if they don't have a court order, they cannot have supervised visitations. The only other way they can have it is by a professional referral source. So write this down. This is important. If they do not have a court order, they need a letter from an attorney, letter from a paralegal or a mediation agreement, a referral from a family therapist, or DCFS, Child Protective Services. If they don't have any of those, they need to obtain one, because we don't take notes for parents. We take notes in case the judge or another professional want to know what's happening on these visits. Plus, you wouldn't be unbiased. You would have been hired specifically by this parent, and that would not be good. So I ask non-judgmental questions, and they're tough questions to ask. So the very first thing I ask is, do you have a court order? Yes. How many hours does the court order state? 2 hours a week. Do you have a restraining order? Yes, against me or against the mom or the kids. Okay. Are there any other orders that pertain to this case? Any allegations of substance abuse, child abuse, or sexual abuse? No. Yes. Okay. Which one? Sexual abuse and a restraining order. Okay. And what city will the visits take place in? San Diego. Okay. Well, sir, your visits are going to be $60 an hour, and there's a one-time intake fee of $45 for each parent to complete the paperwork for the court. Once we complete the intake paperwork, we can schedule a visit. Okay, I'm not friendly and I'm not mean. I'm not judgmental. I'm not mousy. I'm asking the specific, important questions. If 30 seconds to sum up the case, to say one, and decide if you want the case, and two, to quote them a price. People want price. People call a plumber and say, my sink is clogged. What do you charge to come out? That's what they're going to do to you. They're going to call and ask for your services and say, the norm. What I typically hear is, I was just ordered supervised visitations, and how much does it cost? Okay, well, it's not that easy. Some people have 4 kids, some people have 1. Sometimes it's a sexual abuse case. Sometimes it's a 3-year-old with autism with a visiting parent from another state. I mean, there are so many different scenarios. So every case is different. Now, we just talked about not judging and not changing your tone and all that, but we also touched on quoting a price. So it all depends on where you live and the demographics around you, or where the visiting parent lives. So in Riverside County, where I'm at, $40 to $45 an hour is where we're at. If they have 3 kids, $50 an hour. If it's a sexual abuse case, definitely $50 an hour or more, because if it's an SA case, they're not allowed to change diapers or take their children to the restroom. That's going to be more work on you. Are you comfortable changing a stranger's diaper? If you're not comfortable with that, don't take the case. But sexual abuse cases are not allowed to change diapers or take their children to the restroom, so it's always $10 more an hour. Be $50 or $55 an hour in Riverside County. I always charge $45 for intakes. I think that's a fair amount. You do have paperwork to do when you get home, once all the paperwork is complete. So you want to charge for that time. In San Bernardino County, it could be $35 to $45, $50, depending on how many children they have and how many, what the case is all about. San Diego is $50 an hour. Sometimes if people really haggle and or they're low income, you could do $45 an hour, but it's not normal. In San Diego, it's about 50, 55, $60 an hour. In LA County, $50 to $90 an hour. Just depends. You have someone in Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, you have some famous actor or director or producer, well, no name. Brad Pitt had supervised visitations. His monitor was getting like 175 an hour. She had to sign a non-disclosure and she had to travel with him. A lot of people might want that job, but let's see where else. The high desert, $35, $40 per hour is good. Victorville, Hesperia, $35, $40, $45 an hour is fine. Now with COVID, everything is kind of up by $5 because a lot of people want to see their kids and there's very few monitors working. So everyone's able to charge 45, 50, 55 nowadays. But the norm, Long Beach, 45, 55 an hour. Orange County. Okay, that's tricky because you have the low income parts of Orange County and then you have the high end. In Newport Beach, it would be $60, $75 per hour, where if you have like Anaheim, Garden Grove, any of those places that, would be about $40, $45 an hour. So Orange County, 45 to 75 an hour. Just depends on the demographics of your city and where your visiting parents live. Okay, let's move on. Upon completing the intake involving domestic violence, have you ever refused to provide visitation services based on the degree of violence? That's a good question. It didn't happen at intake. I really size up cases on the phone and decide if I want them or if they're appropriate to give to other monitors. I had one call I already said I'm a very happy person in the morning. I got a call at 8:30 in the morning from San Diego. And this man was, very rough and gruff on the phone, sounded very, macho and angry. And he says, I just got out of court and judge sided with her, and this is BS, and I need a monitor. And he was just, I'm like, okay, I'd like to help you, but I need to ask you a few questions. Oh, he says, I want to know what you charge, what you guys charge. And I said, I need to ask you a few questions. So, do you have a court order, restraining order? How many children do you have? What city will the visits take place in? It was in San Diego. So I said $50 an hour and one-time intake fee of 45. He said, F you, using the whole words. I'm like, whoa. He says, he says, F you, how dare you for charging me to see my kids? Okay. So he says, I'm going to call my attorney to see if this is even legal. And he hangs up on me. Walking around my coffee going, wow, how could someone be that angry and aggressive and say the F word at 8:30 in the morning? Good golly. So 5 minutes go by, he calls me back. And he says, I talked to my attorney and he said, yeah, that's what people charge out there. So I want to get this going. And I said, no, sir. No, thank you. I will not take your case. You're too much. So he cussed me out again and hung up on me. And that was okay because no. So I declined that case because if he can't hold it together to schedule a visit, what kind of nightmare is he going to be on a visit? He's not going to follow the rules. He thinks he's the boss. He's a control freak. He has anger management issues. So no, if you have a feeling that the case is going to be too much, don't take it. I'm a seasoned veteran monitor, and there are cases I won't take. Listen to your gut. I had a call, and this man sounded very, I don't know, slithery. It's the only word I can come up with. And it just was, I didn't like it. And I didn't take the case. I listened to my gut. So I want you to be safe. You keep yourself safe first, children safe. And like I said, not too much to worry about. 90% of our visits go extremely well. So that's, you can decline cases on the phone. They kind of show their true colors on the phone. Can you imagine calling a plumber and saying, what do you charge? And then cussing them out? No, people don't do that. Shouldn't do that. Do you provide visitation services at a parent's residence? Do you do home visits? Okay, in the past, prior to COVID, no. I don't do home visits because I don't know where people keep their drugs or their weapons. That used to be the thing, is we didn't do home visits. It was uncomfortable for me, so I didn't do home visits. But now with COVID, there's very few places we can go. People really want to see their children, so it's going to be up to you as a monitor. I have some seasoned monitors out there, fairly new monitors out there, that are doing home visits, and everything's going fine. They meet in the living room and keep an eye on everything, document the visit, and leave. But I guess if it was a serious substance abuse case, maybe I wouldn't, but you'll have to figure that out. If you ever have a complex case, definitely give me a call, and I can give you some advice, or we can brainstorm some solutions. But things have changed dramatically for monitors. On that note, I also want to bring up Zoom. So we do virtual visits now. So as you see, I'm working with Zoom. I'm kind of figuring out some of the cool features like the background. I'm used to teaching in a conference room, so this is way cooler than looking at the back of my home office. And so play around with Zoom, get to know the features. They do have these quirky little features now where you can put a mustache on someone or make them look like a bunny rabbit. But that would be fun on a visit. And you can play tic-tac-toe. You can use the white screen to play hangman or tic-tac-toe. Whoever came up with the game hangman? It kind of cracks me up. Like, what a bizarre little concept. Okay, like I said, this training is just impromptu. It was decided on today. So it's not about vanity. It's not about how we look or an organized agenda. I'm really just going through the books and the Q&As that came in. Okay, so home visits you'll have to decide, but we do parks, Chuck E. Cheese, pizza places, the library, bookstores. I love Barnes & Noble. So prior to COVID, we were able to do bookstores, the mall, miniature golf, get creative. You can also get one of those miniature golf pads. They're about $29 at Big Five, and people like putting. So you could suggest for the visiting parent to bring some cool toys. And eventually, I'm not encouraging you to go spend money other than the dollar store. Get a receipt book and get a few toys or a coloring book. Spend $5 to $9. I'm not encouraging you to go spend $50 on stuff. But eventually, I think a mini golf thing, because I just bought one for a kid in our family, and he's 12, and he absolutely loved it. He played with it all day on Christmas Day, and that's a huge win, right? On Christmas Day, when you give a child a gift, what do you want? For them to play with it. Okay, do you record your visits? No. So Zoom visits, you can host the visit, but you cannot record it unless you ask the CP, the visiting party, all parties sign off on it. It is against the law to record someone when they don't know they're being recorded. And as monitors, we just don't. Okay, so don't record it unless you have permission. Do you document during the visit or afterwards? Always during. I document during the visit. Like I said, I write the time, what they're doing. If they're engaging in appropriate conversation, if they're talking about school, sports, life, food, I'll document that. If they order food, any meals, any guests, what they played, how they said how they greeted each other, and how they said goodbye should always be in there. And how long do you keep your documentation? 7 to 10 years or until majority. So if you have a file folder, You have a file folder with the client's name. When I'm done with my notes, I'll get to my car, write any additional things I need to in this little notepad, and then I pull the sheets out, staple them, and put them in their file. 9 times out of 10, they don't go anywhere. If the parents ever want a copy of your notes and you're going to type them up, then I charge $250 for 1 month of notes. I don't do it for free. It's a lot of work. If they just want a recap, like a summary, like they've had 6 visits, they want the date, the time, and yes or no if it went well, then you could charge like $150. So yeah, you keep this file until they're of age. So you're not going to need a big filing cabinet or anything like that, but just get one of those handheld filing cabinets and stick it in there. Or, you know, you'll find what works best for you and your home office. So, okay, well, covered that. We're going to cover Zoom maybe a little bit more a little bit later, but for now, we did a little Q&A, and I'll be back shortly with another video. Thank you. You guys have a good day.